So welcome back everybody, my name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. And on this channel we do anything homestead and home related to include stuff out in the shop. So in today's video we are testing the cheapest Pilot Arc plasma cutter that I could find right here. So I got online the other day and was about to purchase me a cheap plasma cutter. I've been thinking about getting one for years because I have a ton of metal work coming up, and I decided to jump back over to VVSHARE's website. That's a company that y'all know that I've worked with over a year on the channel, and sure enough, I always tell y'all they have everything. They had a couple of different plasma cutters. So I reached out to their marketing department. I've worked well with them and said, hey, would you be willing to send one out and let me test it and make a review? They said yes. So here's the thing, on their website, I believe it's called the Cut 50F, if I remember correctly, for the Pilot Arc. I'll put all this down in the description, a link to it. They have this for $199, and I'm quite certain there was free shipping with that too. It blows my mind to think that nowadays plasma cutters can be had for such little money, especially Pilot Arc. If you're not familiar with what that is, we're going to show it off here in just a second when we fire this up. But long story short, you don't have to touch this tip to your workpiece, scratch start it basically, to get it to fire off an arc. It will automatically do that in here. It has a wire ran up and a little control board inside to go ahead and start the arc for you. Now that's nice because it allows you to not wear your tips out and your consumables early as whenever you scratch start. Plus, if I'm thinking correctly, Pilot Arc would be great for whenever you have skips and jumps and things, like if you're cutting expanded metal and anything like that. Now here's the kicker, they also have a same model of this without Pilot Arc for, I think it was $169 on their website. These are the cheapest prices I could find anywhere, but I was highly interested in the Pilot Arc model. So back in the day, something like this would be well over $1,000 and still is from some of the big name brands. Can a $199 model do what they claim? We're about to find out. We're going to do a little testing here. We're not going to go over much specs. I don't do that on the channel. I went and picked up some metal from my local metal supplier, and we're going to do a little bit of cutting today. All right, so very straightforward. There's not a whole lot going on to these. You can see you got your hookups up front for your torch. The air comes through this. You have your other hookups for the torch, your electronics, your Pilot Arc hookup right here, and your ground clamp. You can turn this on, which I'll do right now, and make your amperage adjustments. It goes all the way up to 50 amps, it claims. Has a gauge on the front for your air pressure. You adjust that back here, just hook up your air hose. I do recommend running dry air through this. I do have a small air dryer in the shop, nothing fancy. That will extend the life of your consumables. Not necessary, but moisture is not good for plasma cutter consumables. So two things I want to mention up front, some misses on my part. It comes with a regulator and all, but it did not come with this thread-in insert right here, which is the hookup for your standard style air hose. Everybody is familiar with these hookups. The good news is you can get them at Ace Hardware, Lowe's, anywhere. But I would love to have seen the kit come with that air hookup. Luckily, I always keep plenty of spares in the shop because some tools, like say nail guns, don't necessarily come with those. But everything else you see here, all the hoses, tubing, and clamps, it did come with. So here was the part that caught me a little off guard. This unit is 110 or 220. I call it 240 because it's really 120, 240 compatible. So you can see I have my 220 cord here. Now, this is the part that kind of threw me for a loop. The unit comes with a 110 plug, and it does not come with any other kind of adapter. So out of the box, it's set up and ready to go for 110 or 120 volts. Now you can get some cutting done with that, but that's not going to get you up to max capacity. This unit knows the difference between incoming voltage, if it's 120 or 240. I'm used to a machine already coming set up for 220, and then a little adapter goes on the end that'll plug into 110. I have some small inverter welders that are just like that. So if you're going to purchase this, you either have to cut this cord off, which is probably going to void your warranty, and put on a 220 plug, but then that takes away the ability to maybe run this on a generator on 110, or you can pick this plug up right here. I looked at a lot of similar models to this. A lot of them come this way right here. I think I paid $14 or $15 for this plug. It plugs into 220 and basically turns your two hots in to your 220 or 240. And the machine automatically knows how to sense the difference there. So if you're going to cut at full capacity, and you order a machine like this, and I'm talking not even VVSHARE, lots of brands are like that, you need to go ahead and plan on picking up one of these plugs. Links down in the description for that as well. Okay, so now we got those two little nitpicks out of the way. Let's flip the machine on. I'm gonna start out around 20 amps. And I've read on a lot of forums online for models very similar to this. The biggest complaint I'm seeing with people messing up is they're running too low of an amperage right off the get-go and too low of air pressure. So if I remember correctly, the manual said you could run up to 75 PSI in this machine, and most people in the forums that really got good use out of these said 50 to 60 PSI is where you want to run at. You got to keep in mind that air needs to blow that molten metal out of the way. But if you run too high of air pressure, you can actually blow your arc out. So it's kind of a fine tuning there, but don't run too low of pressure or you're not going to move that material metal out of the way and you're not going to get a good cut. So I forgot to mention, this machine claims it can cut up to 0.47 inches, which is just under a ½ inch. Well, it just so happens I picked up some true ½ inch steel, and we're gonna see if we can cut through it. That is a hunk of metal, y'all. I don't typically work with stuff this thick in the shop. 3/8 is about as thick as I go, but the majority of my metal work is 1/8 inch steel, which this shouldn't have a problem with. I've also got some 1/4 inch. And then right here, this is actually less than 1/8 of an inch, just some little bit thicker sheet metal. I'm not even gonna clean it off, it's still rusty. Let's see what we can do here. And let me fire this off and show you what pilot arc does. See how I go ahead and get the arc without actually having to touch the metal? That's a nice feature. All right, let's see if we can zip right through this. All right, I went way too fast. Let's slow down. Not a problem slowing it on down there. I zipped across real fast the first time. Plus, I can turn the power up. Okay, I just zipped across way too fast again. Let's see if we can cut a squiggly line through this. Yes, we can. So isn't that cool? Now I gotta learn how to freehand with one of these. This is my first time ever using one. Let's also try doing this technique right here. Awesome. All right, let's move up to something a little more significant, some 1/4 inch material here. Go ahead and bump my amperage on up. Let's just say 35 amps. We'll watch the air pressure and see. I'll try to just cut corner off of this since I'm getting my adjustments right. This is some thick steel to me. Cut it like butter, y'all. Wow. I had my settings apparently right with that because it cut that better than that old sheet steel. And I probably shouldn't cut rusty stuff anyways. Now what you're seeing on the bottom, that's called dross. That should be able to chip right off. Let's see. Now I just call that slag, but there you go. Knocks right off. So let's cut a long ways across, see if I can get a smoother cut. Probably should sand this down too. I'm catching on some stuff and stopping me every so often. All right, this is a pretty long cut. Let's see. Not quite. Let me bump the amperage up a little more. Okay, definitely need to go up a little on the amperage. All right, Let me knock that slag off the bottom and let's see here. Quarter-inch plate cut. Probably not the smoothest cut in the world, but I was catching a lot too. But man, this versus, you know, torch cutting, torch has definitely got its positives for sure. But plasma's fun. I'm going to go ahead and bump the air up to 60, make that same cut. Let's see if more air hurts or helps. All right, so you can definitely see I was catching and dragging. There's roughness on top of this. That's part of my problem. And I'm cutting at a funky angle too. But it zipped right through it. Okay. I did cut at a funky angle. That's just me, the way I was holding it. And I'm fully prepared as I make cuts with a plasma cutter that I'm gonna have to come back and grind. But quarter-inch steel, no problem. Okay, this is actually over capacity, y'all. This thing is rated for 0.47. This is 1/2 of an inch thick mild steel. Let's see if I go slow enough, I can actually cut this. It looks so close. I would call that a success. That was just the slag on the bottom holding it. Okay, not the cleanest cut. Again, that's my hand. But y'all, we just cut actually over capacity. 1/2 inch thick steel. It's rated for just under that. And while I did have to cut pretty slow, that was quite quick in my mind. I mean, I'm not going to be cutting 4x8 sheets of 1/2 inch steel down around the shop. It's just not going to happen. It's not what a little plasma like this is for. It's for zipping through sheet steel and 1/8 inch stuff, occasional quarter. And if you have to cut half, man, it'll do it. That is awesome. All right, let's do it one more time. Why not? This is fun. Wow, okay, that was actually an even better cut. Yeah, but I think that will actually grind and sand up pretty quick and easy. Let's go back to 1/4 inch while I'm still on max settings and see what that looks like. All right, I was moving along pretty good. That was fast, I felt like. Look at that. Good enough. Okay, now that, my friends, is a good looking cut. That'll clean up very easily. Wow. I felt like that was quite fast, especially, you gotta understand, I'm coming from a cutting wheel and a 4.5-inch grinder. It takes forever to make a cut like that. So one test that we'll try real quick, I have this plugged into 110 volts right now via a 12 gauge extension cord run over to a 20 amp circuit. Now, I personally don't recommend running one of these machines on 110, but there's going to be a lot of y'all, that's all you have available. So let's see what it'll cut. Now keep in mind, this senses the voltage, and I don't even know if I can cut 1/4 inch with this on 110 and without tripping the breaker over there. So let's see. But if it'll pull off cutting 1/4 inch on 110, holy smokes. Well, we just tripped the breaker. That's the first time I've ever done that out here in the shop, but I have the machine maxed out, and it tried its very best to cut through on 1/4 inch. But as you can see, even a 20 amp breaker couldn't handle it. So let me show y'all something. You can see light through there. It, for the most part, cut through, but a lot of slag and dross to deal with on the backside. So it's yes, it will cut 1/4, it looks like. It's gonna be a rough cut, and you're only gonna be able to cut a small section before, well, as you just seen, you're gonna trip the breaker. Let's see if we can go through a piece of 1/8 inch. This is probably the most common size metal that people are gonna cut. And seeing that it almost made it through 1/4 inch, I don't think it's gonna have a problem with 1/8. Although I may not have my settings right where they need to be. All right, 1/8 inch steel, no problem on 110 volts. I'm not even gonna knock all the slag off the backside. Zip right through that, no issues at all. Now let's do an important part of the review here that I don't hardly ever see anybody cover on the reviews, and it's so stinking important. Consumables. Now a lot of times when you buy these overseas units, well, one of the areas that gets you and bites you in the butt is consumables. You can't hardly find them anywhere locally. You can't hardly find and match up what you need online. And when you can find them, sometimes they're quite expensive. So it just so happens I bought a random box of a ton of consumables. I haven't even tried them, by the way. I paid a whopping $25 shipped to my house right off Amazon. I got these in 2 days. It comes with all kinds of tips, nozzles, hold-offs, everything. Actually, these look nicer than what I have. I may run them. I mean, I can cut for a long time on $25 worth of consumables. Let's see if they'll actually fit. By the way, this does come with a couple of spare consumables. You have your tip, your little hold-off on the end, your standoff, and then your 2 inner components. These are all wearable parts. And by the way, if anybody's curious, this is a P60 torch. Eventually torches wear out too. I've heard of P60s. Should be able to pick those up online as well. Okay, fingers crossed these parts work. They look the same because $25 for a ton of consumables. Let's try one of their nozzles. Looks exactly the same. Threads right on. And I'm not super thrilled with this style hold off right there, whatever you want to call them. These are extremely beefy that comes in this cheap pack right here. Let's pop these on, try them out. This looks like it'll catch a lot less than what I was just had on there, which I think will make my cuts even cleaner. Oh, that spacing's perfect. Let's fire this back up, make sure we can strike an arc with these new components. If so, I feel like I just hit the jackpot getting all this for that cheap. Well, I'd say We didn't have a problem striking an arc there, did we? Man, oh man, am I excited about this right here. All the years I have spent with a cutoff disc and grinder, things are about to speed up dramatically. Not to mention now I can cut circles and shapes. I have a special attachment on the way that attaches to the end of this. You drill a hole in the piece and you spin right around and you can cut a perfect circle with this. We can cut squares, use speed squares and speed the process up. I cut all kinds of stuff with this thing. This is gonna make metal working in the shop and these upcoming metal projects that I have amazing. So now the real story is, how well will this hold up with time? We're not gonna know, but we're about to put this through a lot of work in these upcoming projects in the shop. Right now, I mean, I can't complain. Cheapest pilot arc that I could personally find, $199. Like I said, the verdict's out, time will tell. All right, well, thank y'all for watching. We're gonna keep this short and sweet because I have so many upcoming projects that you're gonna see this get used in, so it's basically gonna get more reviews as we work with it. Don't forget, links are down in the description if you're interested. We'll catch you on the next video.